Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. Today we're going to be talking about ants, some interesting facts about ants, and then how to control them inside and out of the house. Did you ever see the movie The Naked Jungle with Charlton Heston?
Nope.
It was a fantastic movie on this huge colony of ants that was devouring everything in its path. And this plantation owner, Charlton Heston, the dude in Planet of the Apes, he has to defend his plantation against this horde. They were eating animals and just stripping them to the bone, and he had to fight against that. And then in 1954, the movie Them, it was a science fiction movie. Like Godzilla, nuclear test created this huge colony of ants that was devouring cities. And that was my vision of ants as a kid.
I like The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. But there are some terrifying ants in our world right now. The fire ant, it can actually kill you with its sting. In fact, in North America, the only stinging ant that we have in the southern states is the fire ant. And it can release a venom that can put you into anaphylactic shock and kill you.
Within minutes.
So I guess they send such a quick reaction from their mound. If you disturb their mound, they immediately send a signal to the whole colony. These pheromones that they use, they go crazy and attack anything around the mound.
Well, they're aggressive, and if you get stung by one, you're going to get stung by the whole colony.
Amazing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So the ant that was kind of the inspiration for the Naked Jungle is the army ant in Western Africa. And they have colonies of over 20 million. When they go through the forest, they go in groups of millions. And their jaws are so strong and so razor sharp. In fact, you should Google a picture of an army ant and take a look at this mandible that they have. That when they go through the jungle, they're considered unstoppable when they move in a full colony. And they say that anything that gets in their way is eaten to the bone.
That's gross.
So,
So do they attack humans?
They'll attack anything in their way. Yeah, I guess they just destroy crops and, especially wildlife, anything that gets in their way.
Do you think they're going to take over the earth?
I hope not. We have to be careful with our nuclear testing because I've seen a movie. They also say that when elephants see these colonies of army ants, they run because they're so painful. They can cut right through the skin of elephants. And what's interesting is in some medical places in East Africa, they actually use the jaws as stitches when the ants bite something. So they take the ant, they make it bite somebody, and then they cut it in half. And then when they kill the ant like that, the mandibles stay close together. So they use them as stitches.
That doesn't sound very hygienic.
Interesting, huh?
It's kind of gross.
Yeah, well, I think that's smart. Save money on stitches. In Australia, they have an interesting ant. It's called the Bulldog Ant.
It's considered the most dangerous ant in the world.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it can cause anaphylactic shock also and kills a few people every year in Australia.
Within 15 minutes?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The eyesight of the bulldog ant is so good, if you irritate it and it wants to attack you, it'll follow you, try to track you down.
That's crazy.
So in South America, they have these bullet ants, and they're considered to have the most painful sting of any insect on the planet. On this Schmidt Pain Index, it's over a 4.
Wow. The fire ant, it's 1 or 2.
Really?
Yeah.
So these things, they're an inch long, and they cause excruciating pain when they inject you with their stinger. And a few tribes in South America, what they do when a kid is ready to become a man, they fill a glove with these ants, and they make him shove his hand into this and get stung, and he can't scream for 10 minutes. And then they know you're a man if you can not scream for 10 minutes.
Boys are really stupid.
That's crazy, huh? So they say that after that ordeal, the arm becomes paralyzed and quivers for days.
Yeah.
And again, an ant. Have you heard about zombie ants?
Is this another one of your movies?
No, but it should be. This parasitic fungus, it's called cordyceps. It attacks, so these spores attack ants, and then it actually it starts to grow inside the body of the ant. It works its way up to the brain, and it actually takes control of the brain. And they say that you can tell when an ant is infected because it starts to stumble around, almost like it's drunk. The fungus actually takes control of the brain. It tells it to go and find a leaf at a specific height and direction so that the sunlight and everything is just perfect for humidity for this fungus. And then it locks on. Once it locks onto a leaf at the specific height, it kills it, and then it starts growing like crazy inside the brain. And then once it builds, it blows a hole through the brain, and then it grows this stalk. Like a mushroom, it grows a fruit out of the top of it, and then it releases millions of spores to try to attack new ants.
That's so gross.
Amazing. And so what ants have learned, they've evolved so they can recognize these zombie ants, and they'll actually grab them and drag them as far away from the colony as possible because they know that this fungus is going to grow out of it and try to infect more ants. Which is just amazing in nature, what not only goes on, but that they're capable of learning and solve.
Zombies are real.
There you go. Well, this cordyceps, one of the things like they've talked about, like the Spanish flu, how a flu can jump from pigs and birds to humans. They're actually scared that one day these cordyceps might evolve to animals and then eventually maybe to humans. So there may be one day a zombie apocalypse. Let's cover some of the characteristics of ants.
Okay.
So they're a social insect. They communicate with pheromones, sounds, and touch. What's interesting, ants are the only non-mammal that actually have interactive learning. They can teach each other skills.
Ants have colonized almost every landmass on Earth except Antarctica.
Really?
Yep.
So ants are everywhere.
Everywhere. It's kind of gross. Large colonies of ants consist mostly of sterile, wingless females.
So most of the ants we see are females?
Yeah, they're called workers.
Okay.
Most do have some fertile males called drones, but there is at least one species that is made up of all females because they can reproduce asexually.
Wow, I've never heard of that. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Females rule.
In that colony, anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if it's a fertile female, they're called the queen.
Okay.
Large colonies can have multiple queens.
Okay. There's usually one, but you can have multiple. Okay.
Well, some of them can have up to 8.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Queens can live anywhere from 1 to 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the average ant lives about 3 years?
Yeah, 1 to 3.
Okay.
Except for a lot of the fertile males, they die within weeks.
Terrible.
There are 455 different types of ants in North America.
Wow, interesting.
There's over 8,000 different types worldwide.
Wow.
Ants can lift up to 50 times their own weight and pull 30 times their own weight.
Interesting.
Most ants are either black, brown, or reddish brown in color.
Did you know that ants also sometimes herd aphids?
What's that?
So aphids are these small insects that feed on plants and they secrete honeydew. It's a sugary syrup, and ants love it. They feed on it, and this is what they bring back to the colony as one of their main food sources. And so they'll actually, as the aphids deplete a plant, they'll actually lift them up and carry them to another plant, so they keep secreting this sugar. So they'll bring them from plant to plant, and they'll also defend them. If there's insects that are trying to eat the aphids, they'll put up a fight and defend the aphids. So it's very interesting. Again, one of these learned behaviors that ants have.
What do ants eat?
Most ants feed on sugar, but their diet varies between protein, sugar, and grease. It's difficult for them to digest protein and solid food because they really don't chew their food. Those mandibles are really for grabbing. So liquid, sugary liquids are their favorite food. Very easy to transport back to the colony. So let's talk about some ways to prevent ants from coming into your house.
Okay.
You've got some non-toxic ways?
Yes. Ants will not walk through a line of talcum powder or chalk dust.
Really?
Yes.
Never heard of that.
They don't like salt either. So you could sprinkle that under the doors, near windows. So there's some scents they don't like either. They don't like vinegar, peppermint oil, cinnamon, black pepper, cayenne pepper.
I'll have to try that. Something you can buy for your lawn is a parasitic nematode, and you put this into a hose end sprayer. You spray it into your lawn, and it's microscopic worm-like animals that attack the ants and kill them. and they only attack specific hosts, so it doesn't damage your lawn, or it doesn't hurt any of the beneficial insects in your lawn. So moving inside the house, let's say you want to use something to kill ants. One thing you can pick up at the hardware store is Diatomaceous Earth. This is made up of the fossilized remains of hard-shelled algae. If you look at it underneath a microscope, it's like shards of glass, and that's exactly what it does to the exoskeleton of the ant. It picks it up, it starts cutting through the outside layer of the ant, and it also absorbs that waxy protective coating, so it kills the ants. It'll also kill a variety of other insects, so it's nice. It's not
nice for the ant.
Right. Other than the ant, it's a very safe insect control for, if you have people and pets in the house.
How do you apply it?
Most of the applicators, you squeeze it and it puffs out this fine powder in cracks and crevices. When the ant or any insect crawls through it, it kills them. It doesn't bring this back. It won't control the colony, but if you have individual ants in the house, it will kill them. You'd want to wear a dust mask when you apply this, because you definitely don't want to breathe it in. But other than that, it's something that the ant can't build a resistance to, because it's basically just working as a chemical that absorbs and cuts into their skin. Another product you can pick up in the hardware store is Boric Acid, and it also comes in either a container, it's a powder, or a squeeze bottle. And they take borax, which they use in cleaners, and they treat it with sulfuric acid, and it creates this boric acid. So it's less toxic than many of the chemicals, but this is still something that you wouldn't want to get near kids or pets. And there's a lot of different ways you can apply this.
You can mix 3 parts of peanut butter, 2 parts jelly, and add 1 tablespoon of boric acid per 6 ounces of the mix. You could place this on a piece of paper and then stuff it into a large straw where you see the ants.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then they die.
One technique I like for boric acid is you can mix it with a little honey or jelly, even some peanut butter, and you can put some drops of this on a piece of masking tape, and then you'd want to put that down anywhere where you saw ants, and then it's very easy to pull up instead of getting it on any surface. Let's cover some of the ant control products that you can purchase. And there's a lot of different companies that make these products, but primarily you're going to get bait traps that have some type of protein, a solid food that they're bringing back to the colony, or you're going to have a liquid, and usually sugar or grease in the liquids. What's nice about these products is that you're using the ant's natural characteristics, that they are a social animal. They have 2 stomachs. So they have a social stomach that they go out, they gather this food, they put it into their social stomach, and they bring it back to the colony. When they get to the colony, well, first off, when they find food in a location, let's say in your home, they're leaving a chemical trail all the way back to the colony. And then other ants respond to this trail, they follow it, they find the food inside your house, let's say, and now they leave a chemical trail on top of that. So that trail gets stronger and stronger, and that's why you can see hundreds of ants in your home foraging for either water or food. Because they're a social insect, they're going to take this food, they're going to distribute it in the colony, they're going to feed the larvae, they're going to feed all the other ants, and they're going to feed the queen. And the queen is making hundreds of eggs every day, so you'll not only kill the ants you see, but you'll wipe out the whole colony. So that's why baits or these liquids are probably the best product to use. If you just use a spray and you're killing the ants you see, they've already left a trail back to the colony, so you're not going to discourage more ants from coming into your house. And also, the queen is making hundreds of eggs every day, and if these workers don't come back, she'll actually produce more eggs. So the most effective way to control ants is by having some type of baited food that they're bringing back to the colony.
So there's indoor and outdoor versions of the traps, right?
Yes, and you've got proteins and liquids, sugar liquids that you can have inside or outside. So definitely read the packaging. But let's start with the inside stuff. There's a lot of different companies. We'll deal with a couple companies that we've used and found to be very effective. Raid has a real nice bait station, and this is pet and child resistant. It has a protein style food in here, and carpenter ants and many ants like protein most of the year. But what's interesting is their diet varies from depending on the temperature and humidity, and scientists don't exactly know why and when. So it's actually smart if you're grabbing a bait station that you get something either that has two types of bait inside of it. Like Raid carries a product, it's called Double Control Ant Bait, and it actually has a protein and a sugar inside of it, which they never had years ago. So they've really improved this. And in fact, PIC, this company, PIC, they actually have 4 types of food inside their ant traps. Wow. So they've gone one step up.
A buffet.
Yeah, absolutely. So they feast on this, they bring it back to the colony, and they kill the whole colony. There's also a couple other things that Raid has. They have this ant gel. So you would want to use a gel in an area where there's not kids or pets that can get into it. And again, you're going to put these little droplets around, and it's a sugary bait that ants very easily grab. They very easily suck it up and distribute it. You can also buy these bug barrier markers. So it's a little, it looks like a magic marker, and the tip of it has a sponge on it, and then you dispense the liquid around windows and doors, wherever you see evidence of ants. So very effective. And then Raid also carries a couple products that you can use outside. So if you have a big mound, or you just want to prevent ants from coming into your house, if there's an area where they usually come into a door or a window, you can place these stations outside right in that area, and then you'll prevent them from, because they'll go to the easiest source of food, they'll get this food, and you'll kill that colony that's close to the house.
How long do the ant traps last?
Most of the bait stations last 3 months.
Okay, how about that gel?
Some of the gels last for about a month.
Oh, well, it's still good.
So again, read the instructions. Different companies vary, but 3 months in average for the bait stations, and they're very effective. In fact, it's something, the beginning of spring, it's probably smart if you've ever had an ant problem. Just throw down some baits every spring, and that usually will solve it. And then Taro, this company makes a wide variety of ant killer. One of their most popular products is this liquid bait station. It's a rectangular plastic station that you use scissors and you cut the bottom corner off, and it has this little ramp that ants walk up to, and they feed off this liquid. They use a sugary substance, and they use borax, so it's less toxic. They bring this back to the colony to kill the colony. And they have a style for inside and outside. They actually have the same liquid in an outdoor liquid bait stake. And the stake has a little see-through vial where you can watch the ants as they slowly take all this liquid. So very effective for outside. They also have a liquid dispenser that use little pieces of cardboard, and you put a drop or two of this bait on cardboard, and you place this around the house. And again, something like this you'd probably want to keep away from kids and pets. So for ant control inside your house, the most effective way to control and kill ants is some type of bait station. Now for outdoor control, if you haven't had ants inside the house, so they haven't left this trail yet for other ants to follow, you'd want to use some type of perimeter barrier. And there's, again, a lot of companies that make a perimeter control. I like Taro's Ant Killer. It comes in a shaker bag, and you open this up, and you don't have to use a spreader or anything. You just open the bottom. It has a perforated bottom that you can shake all the way around the house. What's nice about this is it'll control ants. It'll also control many other insects that, spiders and other insects that try to get inside the house. So very easy to use.
So what about sprays?
So sprays outside, again, effective barrier control. The one thing you'd want to be careful of is make sure that it's dry before kids or pets go in that area where you've sprayed. And inside, they're just not as effective.
But they do sell them just for indoors.
Sure. And again, you want to make sure.
My mom loves using the sprays.
Really?
She likes seeing the ants, spraying them, and watching them die.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is. She enjoys it.
So inside, though, it's not going to be as effective. You're going to kill the ones you see, but if any of them have left a trail back to the colony, you're going to see more. Mm-hmm. Another question we get is if there's any method to control fire ants, and you're never going to be able to completely knock down the fire ant population in your area. So one method they recommend is to get a real good fire ant killer. Taro makes a product. There's a bunch of other products on the market. You put it into a broadcast spreader, and you put it into your backyard. What you're trying to do is knock down the population by about 80%. And then you want to specifically hit the mounds with this chemical. You pour it on top of the mound, and then you soak it in with water. And what you're trying to do is you're just trying to keep the fire ants under control. And this is something that you would probably do once or twice a year, and then just spot treat the mounds. Is there anything else we should cover?
We didn't cover winged ants.
So when ants are ready to colonize, start another colony, the males and females will grow wings, they'll mate, and then move on to start a new colony.
And the males die.
Sad.
Yeah, females rule ant colonies. My mom hates winged ants.
Why?
She thinks they're like supervillains.
A lot of people think they're termites.
They're not. I think that wraps up this episode.
I thought it was interesting.
Please subscribe to our podcast, and if you liked it, leave us a positive review.
And you can also check out our videos at Fix It Home Improvement channel on YouTube. And you can subscribe there, and you'll get new videos every month.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.